to get more analysis on this from Elisabeth Braw. She's a senior fellow at the American Enterprise Institute. Thank you so much for joining us, Elisabeth. So both NATO and Russia have downplayed expectations of any sort of a breakthrough from their meeting in Brussels. What are you expecting from these talks?
So, as your correspondent said, they now move to the wider NATO community, and I think everybody in that community is relieved that the Americans stood their ground, because really the Americans were negotiating on behalf of all of NATO, and the fact that Russia managed to get a one-on-one negotiating session with the Americans was really quite something, because what Russia wants to discuss concerns all of NATO, not just the United States, but it is a former superpower, and it got to negotiate with its fellow superpower. So I think everybody on the NATO side is relieved that the Americans didn't make any concessions. Of course, in a sense, the lack of any significant breakthrough, you could say that's a bad outcome, because really negotiations should end in some sort of results. But nevertheless, I think everybody's relieved now.
Now, at a meeting between US and Russian officials in Geneva earlier this week, Moscow said it had no intentions of invading Ukraine, despite the presence of around 100,000 of its soldiers on the Ukrainian border. What is Russia trying to do then? What are they trying to achieve by having such a significant presence at Ukraine's doorstep?
They're very clever. So just by having those troops there, Russia is damaging the Ukrainian economy, because who wants to invest in Ukraine when there's an invasion looming? Investors are getting worried. International money markets are getting worried. Ukrainian economic indicators are down. And the Ukrainian economy, we have to remember, is not very good to begin with. In fact, it's very fragile to begin with. So it's a very clever game by the Russians, and they are allowed to have those soldiers on their side of the border. But having them there spooks everybody, not just international money markets and investors, but NATO as well, of course, and indeed the general public. So it's even if they move those troops no further in the direction of Ukraine, they are already achieving a goal of weakening Ukraine. And as we have seen now, we're all discussing, we're all concerned about what Russia might do. That's an achievement in itself.
Okay, Elisabeth Braw from the American Enterprise Institute. We really appreciate your analysis. Thank you again for joining us.